YouTubers. Welcome back to React God. Today featuring Dave Rubin, possibly the dumbest man in American politics. Second place to Nick Shirley.
With the worst year of job growth in the past 4 years, just this last year under Trump's administration.
Yeah. I mean,
you're arguing that things economically were better under Joe Biden
At the end of his administration, absolutely.
Yeah, so can you give me an example of how?
Yeah, GDP growth was better off, real median wage growth was better off, inflation was better off at the end of his administration, unemployment was better off at the end of his administration. With the worst year of job growth in the past 4 years, just this last year under Trump's administration.
Was the Rubin report, did that also accept Russian money?
What show did I do for
No,
Russia?
I'm not saying you did a show for Russia. I'm saying
I also forgot
what did I
Arthur Gregorian. Fucking this. When did this story pop off, right? Or was this did this story happen under Biden or Trump? Where Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, forget what other characters were involved, were like getting funneled Russian money through this like, fake businessman Arthur Gregorian. And I mean, there are two main characters to this story that they're not main characters in American media, but they've operated in American media, and they went to jail. I forgot their name. They went to jail, or they got arrested for this. Should I refresh? Tenant Media, right? It's a Tenant Media. That's the story. Russians were using this fake guy, or this fake alias, something Gregorian. Operated this business called Tenant Media, and they partnered with some Americans, who then, started paying off Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, and a couple other guys, I think, to start almost 100 or tens of thousands of dollars per video that they upload to their YouTube channel. And that's just the kind of good business sense you'd expect. Anyway, you'd expect people to have in America, run their life like a business. I don't know. Anyway, Tim, if you feel like searching the internet, you should go look up when Milo Yiannopoulos went on Tim Pool and dissed him about this story. Milo went on Tim's Pool show and was like, these morons took this Russian money. They didn't even check where it was coming from for hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in money. Didn't even know where it was coming from, He says that on Tim's show while Tim's sitting across from him. Tim gets really mad. It's a great moment. Should check it out. Anyway,
Huge, who could easily say the talking points that benefited them.
But what law is stopping you from doing anything that another person cannot do?
Laws are not protecting trans people. If they were, trans people would not be disproportionately unemployed, unhoused.
What would you like the law to do for you? Again, the law can guarantee equality. It can't guarantee protection, right? So
yes, it certainly can.
So
has wokeness pushed America past the breaking point, or is the progressive movement the only answer to MAGA? I'm John Regalado, and from Jubilee Media, this is Surrounded, where one brave soul faces a room full of disagreeers. Today we're unpacking what it means to be far left, the backlash.
Yeah, Dave Rubin, such a brave soul. I mean, I feel like you gotta be to be gay and operate in these conservative circles where half the people you meet think you should go to jail for having a surrogate, It's like, I guess that's
Flash
brave.
to wokeness and what
I certainly would not be able to live my life in that fashion. I can say that for sure. If I was gay. Anyway.
your vote stands for in the upcoming midterm election. I'm here with our featured guest, conservative commentator Dave Rubin. Welcome.
It's good to be here.
Are y'all ready to debate, Dave? Let's begin.
I'm Dave Rubin of the Rubin Report, and today I'm surrounded by the far left.
Yo, what the? It's so dark.
This is the Mantis Sound sleep mask that is completely blackout. This has built.
That might help me.
My first surrounded claim is that wokeism did more damage to America than Trump ever did.
All right, if you would like to debate this.
Awesome, dude. We're back to the baby pen. Okay. I'm playing in the crib, beating up the toddlers. Well, I guess this is more so just like one toddler surrounded by 20 adults trying to speak to a toddler like he's an adult. You know?
This claim, please get to the center in 3, 2, 1.
He's quick.
Yes, I am. So I find it interesting that you think wokeism has done so much damage to America as opposed to Donald Trump. Wokeism did not kick 17 million Americans off of their health insurance through Medicaid. Wokeism didn't start a disastrous war with Iran that has now led to inflation outpacing wage growth. Wokeism hasn't ripped up institutions or attempted even to destroy free speech, even by your standards, because Ronald Reagan appointed judge ruled that the Trump administration was violating the First Amendment by attempting to deport, arrest, and detain students and faculty members on college campuses for protesting for Palestine. Wokeism, to me, it doesn't even have remotely as disastrous as a track record as Donald Trump.
Well, how would you define wokeism? I guess we should start with that.
I think wokeism is a pejorative term that's used to describe left-wing cultural politics.
Right, and what do you think left-wing cultural politics are?
I'd say left-wing cultural politics include just the broad attitudes towards social justice, especially for minority groups that have faced persecution in various ways.
Okay, so I think the simplest way to define wokeism is basic.
I agree with that guy's, the mustache guy. Evan, what's his name? The definition?
Basically, collectivism on steroids, and usually as it applies to,
what?
Is basically...
Should not have interrupted Dave here.
In various ways.
Okay, so I think the simplest way to define wokeism is basically collectivism on steroids, and usually as it applies to race and gender, meaning that you should be judged based on the color. You actually should be judged based on the color of your skin and your sexuality and your gender and a whole bunch.
What? It's so incoherent. How do you even respond to this? Like, honestly. This guy has this guy makes millions of dollars. He should scamming people on the internet into thinking like he's like some kind of political intellect. And he's literally like, this is literally the type of shit you'd hear from like an evangelical teenager on their like high school football team. If you ask them about what wokeism is, I don't know. You know, it's so dumb. Like, if I were Dave Rubin and doing this from a conservative angle, it'd be like, wokeism, it's cancel culture, it's, you know, it's it's blaming people for your problems, it's blaming, you know, it's not taking personal responsibility, things like that, things that are actually like personally relatable to an individual, because that's how, right wingers should be operating if they actually want to. Like, no, not that I'm giving these people advice or anything, but if they did want to affect hearts and minds, they should avoid any of these high-minded concepts, any of these like abstract concepts, or abstract systemic concepts about how society runs or the world operates, and just focus on that kind of individualistic sense of self as a way to, negatively polarize against wokeism. Anyway.
Bunch of immutable characteristics, and depending on where those fall on the left's kind of hierarchy of importance, that's kind of how you can parse out where people should be and how important their ideas are.
So even assuming your characterization to be an accurate characterization, which I don't necessarily take,
right? We're going to have a lot of trouble getting to a fair agreement on
that wokeism has, for example, skyrocketed inflation to outpace wage growth, the way that Donald Trump's war of aggression on Iran has done. Can you demonstrate that wokeism has violated the First Amendment by arresting students and faculty members on college campuses?
Okay, well, yes, I can. So let's start. Well, first off, the disastrous war, the quote-unquote disastrous war that you're talking about. You're talking about a 40-day military operation that stopped an apocalyptic regime from getting.
It's still happening. Like, aren't we still bombing Iran every now and then? Like, oh. There's like, what is even the point of reacting to this stuff? It's like, for me, this guy lives in an alternate universe as far as his worldview goes compared to me. Like, he lives in a different timeline, and like, I gotta get back to the place where I remember when I was a libtard, and watching CNN and getting mad at Donald Trump all the time. Like, what did that feel like? That's where I've got to get back to. Not that I don't get mad at Donald Trump all the time still, but I don't know. It's been a hell of a 10 years, hasn't it?
A nuclear bomb and exporting terrorism throughout the world. And we're now in an economic embargo of them, right? We've basically done a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. So to say it's a disastrous war,
we've done a blockade.
We did lose. Hang on. We did lose 13. We did lose 13 of our soldiers, and that is
killed over.
Oh no, the soldiers. Yeah, we lost 13. Ugh, God, these guys unironically believe everything like the Pentagon says, don't they? Or like, well, not even, because like the U.S. military has been contradicting itself over its reports on this Iran war. And anybody with like a sense of critique about the U.S. government understands that this war is not going well for the U.S. in any way, shape, or form. And we've actually already lost, and we're just waiting to feel the impact, or the full impact of that loss of geopolitical pressure, power, and dominance over the Gulf. But there's always the potential to re-engage and, totally crash the global economy, which I hope Trump won't do. I guess we could win it that way. I guess if everybody dies, nobody loses. Is that? But anyway, yeah, Dave Rubin's fucking delusional.
200 children.
But well, things happen in war, right?
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
yeah. Well, things do happen in war. You can laugh at that. Hold on.
Things happen in war. We only murdered like 160 school children on the first day in a targeted strike. Hey, dang, Khalidi.
Hold on, listen. You want to talk?
I agree, but that's why war should be a last option. If Donald Trump wanted to prevent the Islamic Republic of Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, he could have just stuck with the Iran nuclear deal that he ripped up. Iran did not enrich past the 3.67. Wait, they didn't enrich past.
Yeah, and obviously Iran never had the. Iran, especially the mullahs, never had the intention of building a nuclear bomb. And so, this is like the crux that the argument that the conservative or pro-America side of this conflict relies on. The idea that the mullahs are a dangerous regime working on building a nuke to destroy Israel and the West and whatnot. And that's the crux of Dave Rubin's argument. But none of that. Obviously, it's a completely false. Yeah, they don't sell Joe and Lie shirts at the Great Wall, so I didn't see them. I would have bought one.
The 3.67% agreed upon in the JCPOA. They only got to 60% after Donald Trump left that deal and then started doing aggressive actions.
I must say, I'm impressed with your talking points. You got impressive talking points, and you memorized them.
Wow, I'm impressed with your talking points because it disproves everything that I said. Because it contradicts my reality. And that means, your talking point, they're just talking points, and I don't know how to respond to them.
Well, they're not correct, but I am impressed.
Okay,
first off.
Oh, great. Yeah, like, I didn't realize Destiny's friend was here, too. They really... I just don't... Like, who runs Jubilee? They just get, like, some of the weirdest fucking... I guess this format is what attracts some of the weirdest characters in American politics, but... It's just like... If y'all want to have serious conversations, can y'all filter this a little bit? To not include, like... to not include a girl who's like openly working alongside a sex criminal and fucking actual. Well, Dave Rubin's not disabled, but he is stupid.
First off, the Iranians admitted in the negotiations right before the war started that they were enriching past what they were allowed to. That's number one. Number two, you also have to go on the assumption. You also have to go. Hold on. You also have to go on the assumption or acceptance that can you agree or verify their claims? It's one thing to say, oh, this is what we're doing, this is what we are agreed to, etc. But you have to be able to verify that. And the idea that we have people on the ground or the UN or some third-party organization that can verify what they're actually doing with underground nuclear sites and a whole bunch of other things is I would say, quite a leap of faith, right? You want to trust but verify.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
So the IAEA and U.S. intelligence said that Iran did not enrich past the 3.67% prior to Donald Trump ripping up and stepping out of the Iran nuclear deal in I believe it was 2017, 2018.
So again,
2017. And yeah, that's all true.
In these negotiations,
because Donald Trump ripped up the Iran nuclear deal to begin with, that's the only reason why.
Yes. Unironically, Trump going into this war has now given Iran the leverage to get a better an even better kind of peace agreement than the JCPOA offered them.
Let's try it a different way. I'll try it a different way.
The IAEA assessments agree with me, and Tulsi Gabbard, our Director of National Intelligence, testified in front of Congress last year, and according to the entire intelligence community, Iran did not have a nuclear weapons program.
Okay, that they didn't have a nuclear weapons program, they were enriching.
Yes. Okay, is the argument over? Like, are we gonna keep arguing here, or no? Dave's gonna keep going. Let's see.
Past the point that they were allowed to for civilian use. Everyone knows that. But allow me.
But do you understand a weaponization process is different than
do you think the Iranian regime before this war, the Iranian regime that has oppressed the people of Iran for 40 years, do you think that was a good regime? Would you say that was a good government? Would you like to live under those people? Were they progressive in any way? Do they hold any of the values that?
Not enough, brother. I don't know. Yeah. How many nukes does the U.S. have, I wonder? We have nukes in other countries. We have nuclear bases in other sovereign countries. That's how many nukes the U.S. has.
Any of you guys hold?
No, but we don't just start wars on countries whose politics we disagree with, or who are oppressive to their own people. We're actually
I guess since our nuclear bases are in their countries, they're not technically sovereign, but you know what I mean. Anyway.
An ally to Saudi Arabia, and Mohammed bin Salman ripped up.
That I agree with. You don't do that.
Okay,
we got something. All right, we got something. We got something we agree with.
That has committed gross human rights violations in Gaza.
I'm shocked that Israel came up. Israel, the only place that has any of the progressive values that any of you guys share.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you know if you were gay in Gaza, Hamas would throw you off a roof?
This is perfect. This is perfect because one of the things that you told me at the beginning of this conversation was that wokeism was judging people based on characteristics and collective thought. Israel is literally centered around the
I know, it's so progressive. We separate the gays and the straights. That's
prioritization of the Jewish people as a matter of policy. That is literally collectivist thought. So you must hate Israel too. You must think that that's the
Pol Pot would agree. Yeah.
That's the ultimate form of collective identity, right?
How many Muslim countries are there? How many Muslim countries?
So you're just pivoting?
No. I'm going to answer.
But wait, is Israel collectivist?
How many Muslim countries are there?
I'm sure there are a lot of Muslim countries.
You have any idea?
There are a lot more
20, 30, I don't know.
Muslims than Jews.
Yeah, well, just ballpark. How many Muslim countries are there?
I would probably maybe say, like, let's say between 10 to 20, maybe.
All right, you're off by about 40. There's about 52 or 53 Muslim countries.
Yeah. All right, Africa has a lot of Muslim nations. I forgot. I was just counting MENA. Asia too, yeah. Sure. Anyway.
In any of those countries, how's it going for minorities, women, gays, Christians, Jews?
Malaysia.
Yeah, I can say.
This girl's here too. She's a far left Democrat. This lady. Oh man. Oof. They got the centrist grifters on the call themselves far left Democrats for this.
Say that other nations, it's extraordinarily repressive. But we got
to pause there. The Josh Shapiro the far left, the Josh Shapiro fans are in the building, y'all. I don't know. I can't think of it.
We got to pause there. You've been voted out by the majority.
Okay.
Please return to your seat.
It's been fun.
You're an idiot. No, you're an idiot. Right? No, you're a bigger idiot. No, you're an even bigger idiot. Right? That's not an argument.
Gay Bill Clinton Is he far left? That's kind of how Americans operate, though. Like, if Bill Clinton was gay or black, he would be considered far left.
Oh, she had it. She had it. All right.
Dave.
All right. Hi.
Good to meet you. I'm actually a big fan. I've been watching you since, like, all the way back in the Sam Harris era.
Oh, yeah?
And then I remember you
softening me up. Okay.
No, you brought on, like, Stephen Molyneux, like the white nationalist. And I was like, this guy just loves ideas. He just loves all different types of ideas. I love that. But yeah.
Dude, everybody in here knows the Dave Rubin lore. They watched all the Sam Cedar videos about Dave Rubin. I don't know. At least some of these people, I think. That was a Sam Cedar bit there.
Just want to talk right now specifically about the difference between progressive values and the MAGA coalition.
Sure.
It seems to me that all of the ills that are attributed to wokeism are typically things that people find annoying. So people being overly, policey about their pronoun usage or talking about specific groups that might seem extremely marginalized. That's what I typically hear from the right. I don't hear like a degradation of like society unless it's the far theocratic right. And I don't think that you ascribe to that. Would you call yourself a theocrat?
I mean, I wrote the best-selling book on classical liberalism, so it's funny, I get called a conservative.
The best-selling book of all time, dude. God.
All the time. I actually happen to be a liberal in the truest sense of liberal.
You should join the circle.
I wrote a book that some fucking donor bought 20,000 copies of, and now it's on the New York Times best-selling list. Yeah, it's great.
Well, progressives are not liberal as a general rule of thought.
Yeah, for me, I just feel like that type of like annoyance that
if John Locke was alive today, he would probably if Thomas Hobbes and John Locke were alive today, they would probably strangle Dave Rubin to death, though. If they had today's access to information, they would not be fucking libtards.
That wokeism presents to the world is a lot less dangerous than the coalition that you're a part of that
they would strangle anyone who wouldn't give them their opium. Were they on opium? I don't know. I don't know about the personal life of John Locke or Thomas Hobbes. I just assume they were like the more progressive forces of the American political class at the time.
Like condemns people for having children.
And I mean, I read their Leviathan and treatises. Oh, right. They were English. Fuck. I'm stupid.
Children when they're engaged.
Well, I mean, wasn't much of a difference there since America was England when they were alive.
Marriages, or says things like, people that are of particular sexual orientations don't deserve the same equal rights. Well, would you say that that's something that's...
Or wait, am I stupid? I might be stupid. They wrote their shit before the American Revolution, right? Yeah. Fucking God, I studied these guys in multiple college classes, but they were so boring. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
dangerous.
A coalition is going to have all sorts of people in it. So it's like MAGA, if we were talking
ideological diversity.
Magna Carta.
If we were talking about what MAGA is, what I like about MAGA actually is that it's not a specific set of you have to believe this exact set, right? You have to believe these exact
some people in MAGA can
things.
believe gay couples can have kids, and others can believe that's degeneracy and those people need to be jailed. Well, those are the difference of ideas.
The tough answer to that is yes, as long as you're not trying to litigate someone's life. I am around a lot of conservatives all the time, and particularly Christian conservatives, let's say, they generally are not for gay marriage. By the way, there's not one mosque in the United States that performs gay marriages, which is worth noting.
Why are you so focused on Muslims today?
Why?
I mean, is there a fucking Is there, I mean, like, I don't know, what's another analog to this? Is there like an evangelical church that does gay marriage? It's like, okay, yeah, I guess Islam is, they don't have there's not really a progressive strain, or like not really like an openly pro LGBTQ strain of organized Islam in America, but that exists in other countries, like, sort of, to a degree. I don't know. Like in Iran, if you're gay, they force you to get transed. Right? Anyway. Lebanon is pretty gay, right? So
I'm just giving you giving you a fact.
I don't know. Also, Dubai exists. Gay people aren't, that's a theocracy, right? Gay people can go to Dubai, freely exist in Dubai or UAE, right? Not that that matters, because the UAE is, just using that kind of thing. If that, I mean, I don't know the fucking social politics. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the social politics of the UAE. I just assume they're not fucking. I assume they have a more metropolitan attitude. About that stuff. But they just don't, allow their citizens to do it.
But what I have found consistently, Donald Trump was the first incoming first-time president that was for gay marriage.
I actually really want to talk about
Barack Obama was not for gay marriage when he first came in.
And not until 2013.
So what I would say is the MAGA movement, I mean, look, Scott Bessent, who's the Treasury Secretary, is married to a man and has kids. Peter Thiel is married to a man and has kids. Douglas Murray is one of the greatest voices we have in conservatism, happens to be gay.
Yeah.
I don't, for the most part, people on
God, he's just naming some of the most evil people on Earth. To do what? Scott Bessent and Peter Thiel. Like, literally archetype villains for like an evil gay guy. That you would see in a movie or something, Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know.
On the right actually believe in individual rights and don't really care, but that doesn't mean
that's where you've lost me, though, because
but it's also more so that these countries are like controlled and ruled by theocratic capitalists that are propped up by US military power. So, of course, whatever, these countries and a socially progressive strain of Islam could emerge out of these countries, if these countries were given peace and chance to develop sovereignty. Anyway, these gays, they're trying to murder me. Yeah.
Doesn't mean that everyone has to have the same religious perspective on everything.
But you've been around the block for a long time, and just like you alluded to, in 2016, Trump held up a flag that said LGBTQ for Trump. Yeah. He was asked in a CBS interview, would you let Caitlyn Jenner use the bathroom that she wants to in your hotels? He said absolutely. He didn't have a problem with that.
He actually gave a better answer than that. He said, I'm a hotel builder. If you told me I had to build one bathroom, that would be fine with me. I think it's a great answer.
But that's what's crazy.
He's like, oh, less expenses, perfect.
Is that evolution has changed so much to the current MAGA movement. The MAGA movement today, Donald Trump would absolutely not say that somebody could use the bathroom aligned with their gender identity. He specifically banned that. And not just that, but he's also just called for, he specifically wrote an executive order that classifies far leftist groups, like pro-transgender groups, as a danger to the country, which often the entire military can go after. That is insane. That is absolutely a violation of people's individual rights.
Okay. On May 6, 2026, the White House released its new U.S. counterterrorism strategy, which explicitly names violent left-wing extremists, including anarchists, anti-fascists such as Antifa, and radically pro-transgender groups as security threats, alongside cartels and Islamist terror groups. Okay.
All right, so you want to talk about the trans issue sort of broadly?
It's not really, I mean, yeah, that happened, but it's not, doesn't really explain. Fuck, I got lost. Where were we in this conversation?
Yeah,
I want to talk about the MAGA coalition that claims to be pro-individual liberty, yet wants to police the way that people express
themselves. But what are they doing?
That also wants to police people's bodies, that want to go after people specifically because of their ethnicity.
Right.
None of that should be
so
tolerated.
Donald Trump is in the middle of his second term. Gay marriage is here. It's passed. It's a just
then
cause.
Why are
I believe
so many,
in individual rights.
Wait, you're friends with Michael Knowles, right?
Yeah.
So what's that coalition again called? I think it's like Less Equal. That's trying to actually get rid of Obergefell and overturn gay marriage rights. Does that not concern you?
Well, first off, I've never heard of that specific organization. But what I can tell you,
you're friends with them.
Michael is part of. I just don't know what you're talking about. But what I would
look it up right now.
What I would
it's
say
called
is
Less Than. And it's Lila Rose, Michael Knowles. I think it's what's that guy's name at the?
Get on Mason for doing the journalism. I don't know this org.
Daily Wire, the head one.
Okay, but that's not Donald Trump.
I understand that you want to go away from this.
No. That's
topic.
not Donald Trump. That's not the head of the party. I have friends well, first off, Michael and I are friends, but there is a cap on our friendship. There actually is.
How are you friends with someone who doesn't want you to be in love, my man?
He doesn't want me to be in love. He's had dinner at my house with his wife. My husband cooked for him.
That's against God, so I want to have a word with him.
But think about what you're saying. I get
Dave,
think about what I'm saying.
But what I want to say
your
is,
name. Wait. Hold on, champ. Hold on.
Yeah, I think that's what happened to SNL, right?
Champ, in your world of how tolerant you are,
they mix extra estrogen in their cocaine. I don't know. That's how SNL got its start, right? No, never mind. That's not even a good joke. That's shit. I don't know. Gotta workshop that one.
You are showing me you're actually showing a remarkable amount of intolerance, because although I don't know the group that you're talking about, Michael Knowles as a human being has been to my house, and my husband has cooked him lamb, and we have enjoyed evenings together and shared personal moments and all of those things. Now, do we agree on absolutely everything? Of course the answer to that is no. And if Michael or anyone else was trying to lead some organization that was going to go against my civil rights,
can we get a gay guy to step in here? Be like, never mind.
Right? Well, that is where obviously we would have our differences.
Just to call out, whatever.
Opinion, of course,
Dave.
But I also respect people's religious beliefs. They're allowed to have their religious beliefs. Their religious beliefs are not allowed to legislate my life. This is all very separate from the trans thing, which obviously I sense is going to come up a few more times.
I'll just say real quick, I'm not trying to come after you. I believe that you should have the full liberty to have the family of your choice. But what I will say is, I'm glad Michael treats you with respect individually when you guys are together. But when he goes in front of his platform and says that a video of two gay men having a child is the most disgusting thing that he's ever seen, which is a quote, you can look up the tweet. Michael said that child is in one of the most dangerous situations he can think of, which is crazy to think of all the abusive parents that actually live in this society, regardless of sexual orientation. And you're going to look at a happy family.
Okay, so, yeah. What Mason's saying here is true.
And say this is disgusting.
Thanks for
that should feel like a violation.
Okay. So I didn't see that video, but if what you're asking me is do I agree with, let's just say what you said is true, do I agree with Michael's point on that? Of course the answer is no.
But that is the MAGA coalition.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
That is the ideology.
No, that's not the coalition. No, that's not the coalition. No, that's not the coalition.
That is what the administration is pushing
you're taking
towards.
a very specific person and you're saying...
Is it a small specific?
Oh,
is it
absolutely,
French?
yes.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is.
A majority.
No, that's completely absurd. That's completely absurd. It's completely absurd.
We got to pause there. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
National Republicans just started a Stop Tallarico PAC because they are panicked about this movement.
Good grab.
I want to go to your prompt in a second, but I just wanted to address, though, I actually come from a Christian background. I spent a lot of my career debating Christian nationalists. And even the nice...
Her career. Ugh. It's hard to imagine how these people make money, you know? Occupation debater, yeah. That's a good one. How does this woman, like, how, you know, how do you make a career out of being a centrist Destiny fan that debates people online? Yeah. I don't know. I guess she's pretty. That helps.
Racist Christian nationalists, they do want to take your rights. I spend a lot of time talking to these people, even the really nice ones. So I just want to be careful, and I guess I want to say, like, I remember when you posted about having your kids on Twitter, which congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
The comments were horrifying. I don't know if you remember, but it was Christian nationalists and Republicans tearing you and your husband down for having a child.
Well, you should also note there was a lot of love. There was an awful lot of love from an awful lot of conservatives and liberals and people across the board and everything else. The way the internet operates is people only focus on the negative. So was there a whole bunch of nasty
Which
comments?
Side did it
was
come
there a
from
whole
more?
bunch of nasty?
Do you guess? Let's be honest. Let's just be honest. Which side supports
for
it
that?
more?
If you're asking me about for that specific
Democrats
post, it was
and
no.
liberals.
For that specific post, it was mostly people on the right. For sure, it was.
Who are attacking you?
Yeah, I
course.
fully acknowledge that.
Of course.
Absolutely. 99% of the hate that I get is from people that are in this circle.
Sure,
So
Yeah. Yeah, but what's that hate about? Why are they hating on you? We understand why the right was hating on you for that post. Is he ever going to ask himself that question? Or has he ever asked himself that question? You know? I wonder. Just like, what are the machinations of this man's mind? You know? Is it literally all just personal drive? Personal grievances? That drives this guy's politics? I mean, yeah, he's basically a shill, but I think he's also, like, too dumb to understand what he's doing. Or, he's not too dumb to... That's not the right way of putting it. I think he's, like... He's a shill, but I don't think he realizes he's like a total shill, you know? I think he thinks he's like an actual political intellect of the American system or whatever, that he's somehow driving discourse with his brain powers. Because he likes ideas, you know? And he's just an ideas guy. Maybe he, like, if he, I don't know. He just comes off as too dumb. Maybe it's an act, but I fall for it. For me to believe that he's like a... What's a proto-archetype type of shill? That he's like a Ben Shapiro type of person. You know? who understands politics and has an agenda that he's working in a direction towards. Dave Rubin is just floating by, you know. And I think he thinks he's like being unjustly maligned by the left. Like, I think that's his mindset, you know. I think it's, yeah, I don't think he's like has an agenda. I think he's just a dumb grifter driven by personal grievance.
Gay.
What? No.
It's
Well,
for supporting, going back to the prompt.
No.
And I don't think he has even an agenda of like, you know, oh, I know this is bad, but hey, I'm getting paid, so I can look past it. Like, he doesn't, like, that's not his agenda. He doesn't even recognize when something is bad. Like, that's how dumb I think he is, you know?
For supporting,
it's not for being gay, like the act
authoritarian,
of gay.
desiring, probably demented old man. So going back to the prompt of wokeism, it seems like you defined it as intersectionality, some collectivization based on demographic factors.
We could basically
so
go with that.
wokeism is intersectionality.
It is a piece. Well, intersectionality is a piece of wokeism. If you're going to group people on these immutable characteristics, and then you decide based on this, we got to put black people up here, we've got to put white guys down here, gays are going to be up the straights.
I love it when a normie guy just like listens to get their reaction and they're like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Like, as if anybody has ever sincerely said anything remotely like that.
Trans will be above the gays, you know, you have this
And what
endless
specific
hierarchy.
policy harms have happened?
I mean, quite literally, the easiest one would be college admissions. I mean, we know that Harvard and other colleges were discriminating against mostly white and Asian students.
He's got this guy in awe.
Were discriminating against mostly white and Asian.
That guy was shocked. He was shocked to hear that they were discriminating against, that Harvard was discriminating against mostly white and Asian students. As in, because the pool of white and Asian students applying, the pool of qualified white and Asian students applying to Harvard to get in is already so big to pull from. They're pulling from a different pool to meet diversity standards. They're pulling from a different pool, a different group of qualified candidates. Anyway, it's fucking
Asian students because they wanted more diversity, and they were allowing students of color with lesser grades to get in.
No, that's not true. Pretty much everybody who gets into Harvard has flawless grades. So, I mean, except for the legacy admits, of course. So, yeah, no, that's not true. And even if you have flawless grades, you're not guaranteed to get into Harvard.
As a general rule,
if we're worried about universities, who's cutting their funding?
Well, hold on. Do you agree that that happened?
To some degree, I think it was overblown to a large degree. Because affirmative action basically ended, I think, in the early 2000s, right? A lot of these issues were clamped down on pretty quickly. And the issue is that when you look at the reason why...
I mean, you could look at corporations. I mean, all these corporations that have their DEI stickers. I was just on a Delta flight. They still have their DEI sticker on there.
Dave Rubin... Oh, I get what you mean. And that he's a shill, that he tries to present himself as progressive, but he's actually... You know, but he tries to present a progressive lens to conservatism, sort of, or like present a progressive outlook on American conservative politics, I guess. Angle, spin. No, I don't think he's progressive at all, really. I think he just, well, I think, I think with the gay issues, I, I think the only reason he's pro LGBTQ is because he's gay himself. You know, like that's how I think he's operating, you know, man? Like, because Dave Rubin's background was that he started off as a progressive commentator on the Young Turks, and then left to start his own show, where he then started, I don't know, attacking the Young Turks character or whatnot. It's not like the Young Turks have upheld their reputation very well these last few years, but like that's how he started off as an independent. He came from the Young Turks, got some kind of deal to start his own show or some kind of money. He had some kind of money to start his own show and write a book, I think, or he wrote a book a couple of years later. And then you know, now he calls himself a classical liberal. But I think the only reason he's pro LGBTQ is probably because that's the space, those are the spaces that he occupied. Because I think he comes from a progressive, like, childhood background, probably, or development. And, you know, continued that kind of political advocacy onto the Young Turks, and then left once he realized he's not good enough to. Well, I think he left sort of because of the money. I don't know. It's hard to read because he just comes off as so plainly dumb. It's but it is entertaining. Maybe that's why people watch his show. Anyway, YouTubers, I gotta go to work. So if you liked this commentary, like and subscribe, and or leave a like, and I'll finish the video. Maybe. I don't know. It's so pointless to sit through here. I'm not learning anything new. I'm just laughing at Dave Rubin. Ugh. Wasting my time. But at least Dankley we got some good jokes. We got some good bits off in the chat with Dankley. So that was good. Anyway, peace. I gotta go.